Well, it is an honor to get to speak with you today, and hopefully I can keep you awake after that lunch. That food doesn't set in. But yeah, great to talk about the app today and kind of the story for our church and the journey that we've been on. I'm curious, just in the room, how many people are currently, your church is on a custom app of some sort? Okay, about half. And how many of you, you're just exploring, trying to decide whether or not you're gonna launch? Okay. Good to know. So the journey that we've been on really started in 2014. We launched the first version of our app. It was with another third party, and it was a good start, but there was a lot of room for growth. It was mainly just a collection of links that just linked out to various websites. So we knew we could do better. So it was last summer that we joined up with Pushpay and really started the process of purposefully redesigning our app. And that whole process, we launched, I believe, in September, late August. So we've been on for about 9 months. And in that time, so our church, average weekend, we're around about 6,500. And we've seen, as far as app usage goes, we have about 3,800 unique users every month. And then we're about up to 8,000 total downloads. That just kind of shows you, that's not just to throw that out there for comparison's sake or anything, but just to kind of give you an idea. For us, that's success for our story. So that might be different for you. But along the way, there's just some key things that stuck out to us that we've really, some principles that we followed. And so my goal is just to share those with you, and hopefully there'll be something that if you're just trying to figure out, you're just starting out, don't be intimidated like you need to somehow launch an app and it has to be the perfect thing that answers all the problems for your church. Just start somewhere. And maybe if you're already there, for those of you who raise your hand who you're already in the middle of it, you have an app, you're going, maybe it's just something that can help you guys just take that to the next experience. But for those of you who are in Chris's session this morning, he made some key points about the power of an app for engaging and nurturing. So obviously in the conference we talk about nurturing, we've been talking about engaging your users, and really one of the most powerful tools out there right now is an app, just in the sense of people know what an app is, they already expect it. Some numbers to share with you. In 2017, there was 178 billion apps downloaded. So that's not cumulative up to 2017. That's just 2017 alone worldwide. That number is expected to go up to 250 plus billion in the year 2022. 90% of all mobile web traffic is done through apps. So only 10% of that is actually through a mobile browser. And so people are already engaging. This is just the norm. They're engaging in apps. If you're trying to push them to a website, it's not going to be as effective on a mobile device as an app. So this is just a huge opportunity to take advantage of this tool to engage your people. And so then the question comes down to how are we building our apps in a way that helps people to stay engaged, that they're not, open it once, close it. The numbers are staggering of how many apps get open one time, and oh, okay, I'm done with that. See ya. And so my goal is just to show you, these are some of the steps that we took as we redesigned our app and kind of just went through that process, and hopefully something will help you out. Now, I am going to point out, give a lot of examples from our own app. So if you want to see that for yourself, just to kind of follow along, I'm a visual person. I like to actually see what's happening. So you can text TFH app to 77977. I'll leave that up there for a second before we jump in. So the Father's House we're a multi-site church, so we're located in Northern California. And like I said, this process started for us in 2015 was when we first launched the app. Then this last been about 9 months since we redesigned. So the first thing that we knew we had to address was knowing our audience. You got to know the primary users that you're going to be targeting. I think one of the things, this seems kind of obvious. It's like, well, of course, it's our church people. It's people who come to our church. But I would encourage you to be even more precise in who you're targeting. We if you try to be everything to everyone, you're probably not going to do a good job for any of those target audiences that you're trying to hit. So for us, we chose to target specifically people who have been coming to the church for a while. They would call TFH home. That's their members, if you will. This is their home church, and they're looking to engage with us. So by defining that target audience, we're also defining who we're not targeting. So we're not targeting first-time attenders. So if you come, for example, to the Father's house, you're going to be asked the first time you attend from the stage, we're going to say, hey, can you fill out a Connect card? So there is a digital version of the Connect card in the app. But that's not going to be, you're never going to hear us say, please download the app in order to fill out the Connect card. Instead, we'll use other methods like text in, fill out a paper copy, visit the Connect table. Somebody there will assist you in filling out the digital version, all that. And so that's just too big of an ask for a first-time user. So that's an example of an audience that we're not going to use it. We're also not going to use the app for advertising the church to people who've never been there. And that might seem kind of obvious, but that totally is, that's an option for you too. If you're trying to advertise the app, get people to take a look at the content for your church, these are all valid options. Just for us, we chose to really narrow down. And that, when you know the audience that you're going to target, that helps you to decide the content that's going to go in. It also helps you to decide how you're going to utilize the various areas of the app. So when you open up the app, the very first screen you see, that's high real estate right there. That's the important area. So the content that goes into that section should be for your target audience. Same thing with the tabs that are at the bottom. Those should all be topics that relate to your target audience. The section above the fold for each of those tabs, same thing. So really important, figure out your audience, who you're going to target. Next thing, native content is king. Right now, people just expect a very content-rich experience. Just the days where we could just put a bunch of links and they all just kind of go off to external places, those days are dying, and people just, when you open an app, you expect all the content you need to be right there. This really, for us, that first version of the app that we launched, it was just a collection of links, and everything you clicked on typically would just take you directly out to a web page. And really, it made for an easy setup for us. And it's a great place to start. So don't feel bad if that's where you're at. But is definitely something you can improve upon. And I'm going to show you an example, since pictures are better than words. So we do a lot of events in the app. And on the right, you can see this is an example where it's really easy to get set up. You just throw an image in, you give a date, you give a link, and if they can click that link and boom, they're off to get all the details that already pre-exist on a website somewhere, right? Really easy. But this user experience can be really jarring. And if the whole idea is we want to keep people engaged, we want them to keep, if someone, let's just give an example of, Sally comes to church, she's opening the app to give because she knows, someone just said from the stage, if you would like to give, please do so in the app. So she opens up the app, she sees, oh, youth camp, I have teenagers, I wonder what that's all about. She taps on it. Now, if you've just given her a link, she has to link out to that. Now, if Sally isn't tech savvy and it's frustrating to her to figure out, now, wait, I want to give, I want to get back. It's just an experience that isn't as smooth. It's the small details that we can improve upon. And so on the left, you see we have a description. The screenshot isn't going to do it justice because obviously you can't see all the information. But you would do it. We'd have a description. We'd have the dates. We'd have the cost. We'd have the location. She can figure out all those details that she's going to want to talk to her spouse about and talk to the kids and figure out if they're going to go. She's not ready to commit and register, but she's able to get all that information, pop right over to giving, finish her giving, and boom, she's done. So it's just a cleaner user experience, and this is something that people are already expecting inside of their apps. Oops, wrong button. Number 3, personalize the experience. This is one, if you think about the top apps that you use right now, whether it's social media, content apps like YouTube and Netflix, shopping, anything like that, news, all these apps, they're making an attempt to bring in content that they believe is relevant to you. Now, obviously, there's all kinds of methods they go about doing that, but it's become just second nature. When we open an app, we expect that the content that I'm going to see is relevant to me. And I think we should do the best job we can to put those kind of features into our apps. Now, obviously, your you just go with the options that you have in order to do this. For us, the most obvious place to start was campuses. So we're a multi-site church, so we have multiple campuses. So when you open up our app, you're going to be first prompted, okay, which campus do you attend? So if by tapping Vacaville, then now from then on, all the content that I get is just going to be Vacaville. And what we've done there is now we've eliminated the noise. I don't have to sift through, East Bay's men's breakfast and the basketball tournament and whatever else. It's like I can just get to the things that are most likely going to represent the stuff that I'm going to be interested in. And again, if you want to keep that engagement level going, don't try to get as much irrelevant information out of the way as possible. This is a feature, even the camp. If you're a multi-site and you're using if you're using Pushpay's app, I would suggest if you have multiple campuses and aren't using this feature, get on it for sure. Even like our campus pastors, they love it. They love to be able to, when they'll sometimes preach live and they want to get their message in the app, and so to get it right in front of their campus as opposed to the whole church, because most people, we love the other campus pastors, but they don't want to hear their message. They want to hear their campuses. So awesome feature. Keep it fresh. When people open up the app, there should be something new, something different. Now, again, we're getting back to the whole idea of engagement here, and this is when we sat down and redesigned. We want to think, okay, how do we keep people coming back and interested? If I'm going to an app over and over and nothing's changing, I kind of think, okay, this isn't really being used. Is there somewhere else better where I should be getting my information? Like, is this relevant to me still? And so just a way to do that is having a plan of how you're going to update your content. So for us, what that looks like is weekly. So weekly, we're doing something in the app, whether it's events. We do a lot of events, messages, things like that. And an awesome tool to use is the dynamic home screen. If you don't know what the dynamic home screen is, it's that very first tab. So if you did download our app and that very first tab you're looking at, that's the dynamic home screen. That's content that you can take. It's already placed somewhere else in the app, and just with a click of a button, you're highlighting it and saying, put this on the home tab. And it allows you very quickly, even if you're not updating content specifically elsewhere, you can be changing out that home screen. So there's this feeling of, oh, something's new, something's fresh. We especially use that. So every weekend going into our services, there'll be some kind of verbal announcement we're doing, some kind of event coming up or whatever. We always make sure that very top card that you're looking at when you open the app is related to so if they're saying, hey, sign up for youth camp this weekend, when they open up the app, they're going to see the youth camp card. That's the first thing to see. It makes it easy for them, but also that's just another way it's keeping things fresh, it's keeping it different. And then finally, the fifth one is communicate the plan. Now, I was kind of sneaky. This is really 2 points, but we'll kind of break it out. The first step is getting your technical and your church leadership on the same page as to what the plan is for the app. So even if if you're like us, last summer sitting down, we'd already had an app, but it just kind of just did its own thing. When somebody would come in and they would say, hey, we need to put, whatever this is in the app, then it would, we'd put it in there, but then that was about the plan we had. That was it. Sitting down with our leadership team, and we said, okay, so here's the audience we want to target. Is that good? Yes, that's good. And here's the plan we have to communicate it to our staff, and then here's the plan we have to the church. And once leadership signed off on that and really caught a vision for what the app could do, the second part of communicating it to the church really took on a life of its own. You can't come to a service at the Father's house without somebody mentioning, hey, if you want to stay up to date on what's happening at the church, grab the app. Hey, if you want to get baptized, grab the app, click the I have decided. If you want to, you name it, they're going to mention the app. So there'll probably be a couple times throughout the service, and it becomes part of the culture, and they understand, oh, if I want to engage with the Father's house, then I'm going to go to the app, and that's where I'm going to find that. And it goes from, it just doesn't have to be leadership mentioning it. It just doesn't have to be your volunteers, but pretty soon you even start to hear other people, oh, yeah, grab that in the app. And so this was a huge, I would say, out of just these few things we've discussed this afternoon, this was probably the biggest in getting that engagement level up for us. 4,000 people a month just staying activated out of the 6,500 who come on a weekend. That number only came because we formulated a plan. We clearly were communicated, both the technical team. So in our case, we were coming from the tech side, proposing this plan to our leadership. And it may be the opposite for you in here, but if getting on the same page, making sure that everybody knows what that plan is, what the content is that we're going to be putting in there, and then executing that, it makes it so much clearer, and people understand the three things I really think are important as far as communicating the plan is people need to know there is an app, first of all. That's a big one. You'd be surprised how many people like early on had no idea we had an app. Then they need to understand why it's relevant to them. Why do I even care to download the app? And then finally, there was a third thing I thought about that. What was it? Oh, how do you download it? This is a big deal. People sometimes do not know, how do I get that app? So especially like if you have like we have the Father's House, there's probably like, I don't know, half dozen Father's House apps out there. So make sure that you have a plan, whether that's, you have a slide that shows them like we did today. Here's text this to get the app, get them a link to directly get it, or some other kind of plan. So anyway, those are 5 things that really worked for us. I hope that something there just sticks for you, and thanks for listening.